Hey horror fiends, this is Dr. Chris with Dread Central's YouTube page. We take another character from the media and go over a little bit of their comic book tie-in origins or histories. And what better character to do it this week for a connection to the horror industry, obviously more supernatural and magic based than horror, but still with some horror elements of course, is the Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Stephen Strange, who has a movie coming out, if you're not aware, this Friday, starring Benedict Cumberbatch. Doctor Strange, for anyone not familiar with his origin story, has a rather unique story, but one also very similar to other heroes, such as Iron Man. He's a brilliant, multi-million-dollar, award-winning surgeon, but he's also kind of a jerk. He is straight up an asshole. Doctor Strange would only work on cases that would net him profit and money. He very rarely, if ever, did charity work. Because of this, it gave him somewhat of a bad reputation, but he didn't care about it because he had power, he had money, that's all he needed until, unfortunately, one night he got into a car accident and the nerves in his hands were ruined. Other retcon origins of Doctor Strange, his hands were damaged beyond repair, they were crushed, many different things, but his hands were basically ruined, and the surgeon needs his hands. He hears, after blowing through all of his money trying to cure his hands, he learns of an ancient, kind of an ancient shaman or a monk maybe? He's not sure what it is. He goes to Tibet to find this person, and it's the Ancient One, an all-powerful magician, who tells him to train with him, and he will help him. But Doctor Strange is like, no, I want my hands repaired. I don't need to train in mumbo-jumbo mystic arts and black magic and stuff. On his way out, he learns that the Ancient One's prized pupil, Baron Mordo, is conspiring against him, and he goes to warn the Ancient One. The Ancient One knew about Baron Mordo's treachery. He allowed Doctor Strange to come to him to show Strange that there is good inside him. And Baron Mordo put a spell on him, and the Ancient One destroys the spell, and that makes Doctor Strange a believer in magic, so he trains with the Ancient One for an undisclosed amount of time. It's definitely a couple of years. He definitely disappears from society for a little while. So Doctor Strange definitely trained for a couple of years. He would eventually take on the title of Sorcerer Supreme once the Ancient One had passed away. Now, Doctor Strange encounters all sorts of great villains in the Marvel Universe. Baron Mordo, who's going to be in the new movie, played by an actor whose name I cannot pronounce, so I'm not even going to try. There's the dreaded Dormammu, who is basically like Doctor Strange's version of the Green Goblin or Lex Luthor to Superman or Spider-Man. Dormammu is a cosmic level omnipotent villain like Thanos or Galactus. He's a big badass, and he's never taken over the Marvel Universe before, but he's always keeps trying. As far as I'm aware, other than the original 1970s Doctor Strange movie starring Peter Horton, Dormammu hasn't showed up anywhere else, including the animated Doctor Strange movie. That's the only other place he showed up. In the original live-action movie, he had Morgan Le Fay working for him. Then there's Nightmare, who basically is kind of like years before there was Freddy Krueger, we had Nightmare. And we also have other demons and monsters. Mephisto's kind of a villain of Doctor Strange. He's kind of an all-over the Marvel Universe kind of villain. Doctor Strange and all these characters were created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. His first appearance was in Strange Tales number 110, and it was 5 issues later they did his origin story. But he was always called the Master of Black Magic, which caused a lot of controversy with Doctor Strange when he was created in 1963. He was created in an era where black magic and devil worshipping and sorcery and things like that were not very well accepted. We didn't have the Harry Potter books, and we had fantasy novels like Lord of the Rings, but allowed to print like horror comic books, so they had to be very creative with what they were doing at the time the Doctor Strange came out. The Doctor Strange stories of the 60s constructed a cohesive cosmology. College students, according to Stan Lee, were enthralled by the psychedelic experiences and Eastern mysticisms of Ditko's artwork and Lee's storytelling. It was a very different kind of comic compared to the rest of them, which, other than Thor, 90% science fiction based. Some great Doctor Strange stories I would highly recommend checking out, because there's so much coverage of Doctor Strange. He's been around as long as Spider-Man, pretty much, or the Incredible Hulk, or the Avengers, the X-Men. He's got such a really long history. It's really hard to go over everything, but a couple things I thought I'd go over, which I think are worth checking out. Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom Triumph and Torment, where Doctor Doom wants to rescue the soul of his mother, and he needs Doctor Strange's help. That is a great story. I believe it's Amazing Spider-Man Annual #2, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man team up for the first time, and they make mention of a previous encounter with each other, which was told in Untold Tales of Spider-Man, a one-shot connected to that 25-issue run. Just seeing Spider-Man and Doctor Strange team up for things is always kind of cool because there are such polar opposites to the Marvel Universe in terms of what they do. Spider-Man is science fiction based, but obviously very superhero adventures, street level New York kind of hero most of the time. And Doctor Strange deals with magic and alternate dimensions and mystical forces and things. And it's just the blushing of the two together. It always makes for a really cool story. When Doctor Strange's comic book series was relaunched, he was instrumental in defeating all of the vampires in the Marvel Universe, including Count Dracula, who he encountered a couple times, using the Darkhold. And if you want to learn more about the Darkhold, you can check out my other video here on Dread Central's YouTube page to learn a little bit more about it. His comic book series was revived in the 90s, in which he had to perform the vampiric verses, and all the vampires kind of came back. Those comic books of the 90s were really like, let's show you what a Doctor Strange of the 90s is going to look like. So it's a little bit grittier, gothicer. They were definitely trying to copy a little bit of what Neil Gaiman was doing in Sandman, I could tell with the art style sometimes. Doctor Strange was part of the Illuminati and responsible for sending the Hulk into space, which caused a series of chain of events in the Marvel Universe. The Illuminati was a group of heroes consisting of Namor and Professor Xavier, Iron Man, T'Challa, and Doctor Strange himself, and Black Bolt from the Inhumans, as they were basically manipulating events behind the scenes, trying to make sure certain things were going the way they wanted them to in the Marvel Universe. At one point, Doctor Strange, Stephen, gave up being a Sorcerer Supreme because of his involvement with sending the Hulk into space and his lack of involvement with the Civil War, and a lot of just bad decisions he was making, and he gave up the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, and it passed on to Brother Voodoo. Eventually, Brother Voodoo, Dr. Voodoo, died, and in a whole story arc we could go over some other time. Stephen continued, by the way, practicing mystical arts and being like a good superhero, but just without the title of Sorcerer Supreme. And the Ancient One, who had passed away years ago, came to him and said, because you've shown such great courage despite not having the title and all of the powers of, all the trinkets of the Sorcerer Supreme, I give you the title back. It's proven you truly are the Sorcerer Supreme. Recently, Doctor Strange's book was relaunched at long last. He had been without a comic book series for quite some time. He'd only had miniseries and one-shots, such as Doctor Strange the Oath, which was by Brian K. Vaughan, and a very, very excellent miniseries. In it, a bunch of terrorists, I guess you could call them, called the Empirical, were going around destroying magic in the Marvel Universe. And as of right now, most of the magic in the Marvel Universe has been destroyed. And the current ongoing series is Blood in the Ether. Each one of Doctor Strange's villains are coming after Strange because they know that he is without his magical powers. And as of right now, he's encountered Baron Mordo, Nightmare, and Satanish, with probably the end result being Doctor Strange having to confront Dormammu without all of his magic gifts. Doctor Strange has a love interest off and on named Clea. We don't know if she's going to be in the Marvel Universe, but she's also from the dark dimension that Dormammu is from, and they are basically married, which was also revealed in the most recent Doctor Strange annual, that Clea and Doctor Strange, we know that they were married years ago, but they are still married through magic, and it was a very touching moment. I don't want to spoil too much about the book, but it's definitely something you should check out. Then there's Wong, his faithful servant, also acts as like a teacher for Doctor Strange, as well as his medical helper when Doctor Strange gets injured. He'll also be in the new movie. It seems like we're going to have Baron Mordo, Doctor Strange, the Ancient One, and the character being played by Mads Bilinski. Mads Bilinski will be playing, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but Caecilius? I don't know much about this character. I do know that he is involved with Dormammu. Beyond that, that is a Doctor Strange character I am not too familiar with. Excuse my knowledge of that one, and including even looking some information up about him online, just for reference sake, there's not a lot out there. He doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of appearances in the Marvel Universe fighting Doctor Strange, a character like Nightmare or Dormammu does. Some of the things that Doctor Strange uses to fight off the dozens of mystical things trying to attack the Marvel Universe in our dimension are the Eye of Agamotto, the Crimson Brands of Kitarak, the Book of the Vishanti, and the Orb of Agamotto, his Cloak of Levitation, the cloak that he wears around him, and any number of objects that he has sitting around his New York City Greenwich Village home, which unfortunately a lot of those were destroyed recently, but I'm sure there'll be some way to get them back. Recently, Marvel's been pumping out a bunch of really great Doctor Strange trade paperbacks you can check out. The Oath has recently come out, the Doctor Strange Omnibus, Strange Tales. You can still find the Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom Triumph and Torment that was released a couple years ago in a new graphic novel format, and the first two series of the first two trade paperbacks of the new Doctor Strange series, which is still ongoing, which wrapped up the Last Days of Magic story arc, are now just available as well. Go see Doctor Strange in theaters. Thanks everyone for checking out the Doctor Strange kind of video, giving you a bit of the history as well as some key points in his time here. Again, thanks everyone. Check out the rest of the videos here on our YouTube page, and we'll be back next week with another look at a comic book character currently in media and their comic book original histories, or maybe some of the stuff that they have tied in comics. Because it's just to clarify, there was a comment left that it's not always going to be somebody that originated from comic books. They may have some comic book tie-ins like Ghostbusters or Halloween. So just to keep that in mind, what we're kind of doing with it. But it's usually going to be something that's happening in the media, like the release of Ghostbusters came on DVD and Blu-ray, so we decided to do a Ghostbuster video. Same thing with this. Doctor Strange got a movie in theaters. Time to go over some of the history of Doctor Strange. Thanks everyone. Enjoy some of the rest of the videos that we have on Dread Central's YouTube page and dreadcentral.com. And don't forget to check out my show as well, www.radiohorror.wordpress.com. And I air on Sunday nights and the Monday morning, my radio show, Dr. Chris.